This is the Successful Archi Students Podcast, episode 31. Welcome to the show, guys. My name's Kyle, and I want to talk about why and how I decided to study architecture. So now the typical answer to this question is that, I grew up playing Legos and playing Minecraft and Sims, but I can pinpoint that as a reason behind me choosing architecture. I'm going to go back and talk about a little bit of a story from a few years ago. So I was in grade 10. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was older. I remember it was in my peer support class, which was where we decide on some career paths we can go on, and we kind of develop ourselves as we think about where we want to be in the future. And I really had no idea what I wanted to do. So we had to do some work experience somewhere, and me being my grade 10 self who used to go out skating every day and I didn't really care about my grades or anything, I decided to do work experience. Actually, I didn't decide to do work experience. Work experience chose me. I left it to the last week and I had to decide in a couple of days where I wanted to go and how I was going to get work experience in 7 days, or else I would fail that course. So I actually went to a retail store called Cheap as Chips, and it's so cringy to talk about now because I really could have used this as an opportunity to get my foot in the door as an architect and get some work experience inside a firm, but I didn't. So I did my 2 weeks of work experience, or maybe it was 1 week, but I did this at a place called Cheap as Chips and I regret it completely. However, after this, I was still thinking, what would I do? What is me? Because even though I didn't do so well at this subject and I didn't take it too seriously, after it happened, after the matter, it really got me thinking about where I wanted to be and where I actually see myself in 5, 10, 15 years down the track. I actually remember being in this class and just playing, I think it was a garage band. We were just making music and making sounds on the computer, smashing the keyboard. I remember drawing on the desks, and we caused a ruckus in that class. It was good fun. But anyways, back to the story. It really got me thinking, what should I do when I'm older? And so I've got 3 older brothers who I look up to, and so I asked the oldest one, what do you think I'd be good at? And I remember he just mentioned, I think you'd make a good architect. And I was like, why? And he's like, I don't know, just something that pops out. I kind of just had a light bulb moment. It wasn't really that I was super passionate about architecture or I was super passionate about buildings, but I was just like, yeah, I'm creative. I work on a lot of stuff on the computers. I'm good at business skills and entrepreneurship, and I can tie that back in with architecture. And it wasn't something that I kind of just decided on. It was something that built up over time. Although I had never really thought about architecture as a career before, I kind of just took onto it and thought, why not? So I went all in with it. I went to an orientation day towards the end of year 10 or year 11. In year 11 and 12, I started doing some architecture classes or design classes at school, and I was really enjoying it, except I remember my last assignment for year 12, I did a project on architecture, and it's pretty cringy, but all I did was like a floor plan and then a 20-page folio about it. Except I also made a model because my teacher asked me to make a model for it because she thought it'd be really good. She was all in with me. She knew I was passionate about it. Except when I brought my model to class after spending a single night on it, she was just like, oh, what is this? She was expecting something so much better, and I kind of let her down, but yeah. Quite surprisingly, I actually did really well at that class, so good on me. Anyway, so if it wasn't for my brother saying that I should pursue architecture, then I really wouldn't have known about it and I really wouldn't have kept going with it. So I'm glad he did, because then at the end of year 11, I went to an orientation day at the uni I'm studying at now, and I just really took hold of it and I started studying it and I started just going full in on it. So I'm glad he said that, because that's probably the reason why I'm doing it now. However, when I think back at it, it's kind of like I was really into like video games then, and it didn't really matter what video game I played, I was always really good at it. It sounds cocky, but it's true. Like, I would spend hours and hours and hours into these video games and I would just grind them out and I'd become the best at it. And so now when I think about it, it doesn't really matter what I decided to do. I could be doing medicine, I could be doing engineering, I could be doing art, but I'd kind of got that mindset and that mentality that I want to be the best and I'm going to go all in on whatever it is I'm doing. And so I think that kind of gets to my point here, which is that success is mentality. has basic principles that are going to be prevalent across everything you do. So it's really good to build up your mindset and read a lot of books about mindset and success, and that's really going to help you in the future. So that's the how I got into architecture, through my brother, except the why is a little bit different, because the why is why it's so appealing to me. And I think the reason why it was so appealing to me is because it is this mix of creativity with mathematics, and it's this idea of business and people and legalities and so many different things that are all intertwined into one, and it's this diversity of skill sets that you need to learn that was so appealing to me. Architecture really is this unique but so many different niche things you can go into career, because it's like you don't have to just be good at creativity, you don't just have to be a good construction thinker or good at mathematics. It's really, you can have a diverse set of skills, and I think that's what was so appealing to me. Anyways, I just thought I'd have a break from my studio class because I'm just waiting for a render now, and I thought I'd share that with you. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Successful Archi Students Podcast.